Hey, everybody, welcome to Gather, Heal, Learn, and Become. I'm Sana Calvert. I'm one of the founders of Sanctuary of Earth. This twice monthly session is a place to support all of us who are moving through what are times of great change and for many of us, great challenge, and how to be and become in this energy. Um, and during this evolution, and to create a space for us to do this all together. We are offering healing and shared practices in this space each month so that we can evolve together and find our way. So at the beginning and end of each session, I do a short channeled message. And then after that, I'm going to turn it over to Lis, who will introduce herself and she'll talk about planets like us. So here's the message. Dear ones and beloved souls, you are the souls that are steadily putting one foot in front of the other during times of great change. If you are feeling disoriented and discombobulated, then understand that this is normal and understandable given what is going on. And you are probably sensing this will continue for a while. And you are right. But rest assured, it's all going to come out in the end in what is for everybody's highest and best good. And that does not necessarily mean comfort and ease. It means the opportunity to learn and grow and become our highest and best selves, which is, after all, what most of us souls are here incarnated to do. So trust in yourself, trust in your path, trust in your ability to find your way and to learn, grow, and become the highest and best version of yourself. And don't be afraid to ride the energies of change to help you along. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to turn it over to Lis. Welcome, Lis. Thank you for leading our discussion today.
Hey, I'm very excited to be here. This is my favorite topic. So I'm glad that you're all here with me because it's no fun when you're just at home enjoying your favorite topic. It's better to do it in community. So first of all, thank you, Santa, and thank you to Sanctuary of Earth for giving me the opportunity. I hope it's going to be fun for everyone. I know it's fun for me, and I hope that like my enthusiasm spreads. I guess I'll start by introducing myself as I like to introduce myself as a creative. I dabble in the arts. I love to write. I've done some life coaching, and I am now full on into astrology. So I'll introduce myself that way. I'm a Libra sun, Pisces moon, and a Scorpio rising. And so essentially what that, I'm going to take this as like a super beginner level because that way everybody's included. Basically what that means is I'm the kind of person that likes to be in community. I like to connect people. I'm very sensitive to other people's like emotions and emotional needs. I also, so the low road of some of my aspects is that I can like self-isolate if like I need to go lick my wounds. I can't stand confrontation. So the Libra in me wants to bring everybody together and find out why people aren't getting along. So what astrology has done for me personally is it shows me the aspects of myself that have been harder for me to embrace and to realize that they're put there in my path for me to learn from. Essentially, they are my sort of like my sole purpose is to understand my own design and then learn the skills that are needed to sort of flourish with all the aspects of me. So it sort of creates like a more self-love, basically. It's a type of self-care or compassion. Astrology, I think modern astrology in like the 1970s forward, this is what I understand from doing a lot of reading and deep diving is that it got popular with horoscopes. Like people would read magazines and flip straight to the horoscope page so they could see what their horoscope for the week or the month is. And there's still a big part of that, but I've also uncovered that it's a very helpful tool for psychology and for understanding yourself as well as other people. And so I like to think that if we take the time to figure ourselves out and heal ourselves, then we are also healing the community around us, because energy, just like if you walk into a party and it's a high vibe and everyone's having fun, like you just can't help but like fall into that. Or, and vice versa, if everyone's being a downer, you want to get the heck out of there. So the same qualities in you, that when you are centered in yourself, that energy spreads out to the people around you. So I think of it kind of like cellular biology. If you're sick, and once you turn the corner and you've started to improve, the little cells that are sick start to like flip and feel better, and it keeps going out until, it keeps expanding until pretty soon you realize, hey, I feel like I'm going to get up and move around today. So when we're solid in ourselves and our own identity, then we can go out into the world and share that good energy with everybody else. So I would say like self-empowerment is a good word to use for understand, like when you understand astrology and you understand yourself, it just makes you more self-empowered. So astrology has been around for thousands of years. And back in the olden days, if you can imagine not having your phone at the end of your arm, and like no TV, no radio to connect you, like, can you even imagine what kind of world? It must have been a very small world, because you're only, seeing the people right in your own community. And so, there was this cool event I read about that was called the Summer of No Sun. And I think it was in the, I'm not sure now if it was 1700s or 1800s. And essentially what happened is some volcano somewhere blew up, exploded, all of the dust particles got in the air, and it was a very cold, climate for the seasons across the globe. There were crop failures big time. And so imagine if you had no connectivity with other people, or the people that were in your circle knew as much as you did. So of course they depended on, religion was one thing, and also mythology, like the gods who were going, they're going to protect you, or they're sharing their wrath, or whatever it is. Like these thoughts are the only things that you can make sense of the world with. So scientists or astrologers discovered that when they studied the sky and they noted the planet movements, the planets were from I'm not sure the original term, but anyway, the essential definition was wandering star. They noted that some stars are fixed, but some stars are in motion. And so the stars that were in motion, when they aspected each other in certain ways, they could correlate patterns that were happening on Earth. So it's almost like that thing, as above, so below. And so which is causing which? Like, which came first, the chicken or the egg? Is the stars causing people to act in certain ways, or are the people's behavior and collective energies reflecting back up to the heavens? Who knows? I think that's like one of the great mysteries of the universe. And so, but what's not a mystery is that over and over again, they've been able to record that these patterns are actually happening. And so through the years, technology brings us closer, and then we have, paper. Now, I guess like the old ancient texts are still being translated into modern English. So they're still discovering things about like Hellenistic astrology, things that took place 2,000 years ago in the field of astrology, and is super interesting. And so some of the newer modern astrologers are hearkening back to the ancient wisdom to, pull some of those techniques forward. And it makes the chart reading even more accurate. And I think with the advent of technology too, they can be even more specific and dialed in, like any one of us. In fact, if you don't have your birth chart, an easy way to do it is to go to astro.com. You don't need it for today, but it's astro.com. And you put in your birth information, but you would need to know the time of your birth, the date, of course, the time of your birth and the location. And it will bring up, oh yeah, the location would be like the city where you were born. And it will bring up your exact birth chart. And the cool thing about a birth chart is it's unique to you. And of course, there are probably babies in the little incubators lying next to you in the maternity ward who will have a very similar chart to yours. But they essentially, your lessons for you to learn get filtered through you in the way that's needed. So even two people with very similar charts, like I've seen, they call them astro twins, and they've even done it with some famous people where they can, show the two charts side by side that are very similar, but they've been expressed in very different ways. And it really is like a unique to each person. So what I was just going to mention too, like I want to be sure that I'm not talking too much. We're at 1:45. How long do I have till like 2? Or is that correct, Santa?
Well, let's see. Between what you want to teach and the discussion, we could have till about 2:22 or so. So
okay. All right. I just don't want to like get too wrapped up in the details. I want to get to the obvious stuff, which is the planets and their energy. But I feel like it's important to set the stage for why we want to know these things. And so the world that we're living in right now, currently, as you know, especially thanks to cell phones and scrolling, is super distractible. Like they're just it's hard to hold a conversation with someone because everyone is always distracted by bells and beeps. This morning, I went to my favorite group meditation in Richmond. And in the middle of our quiet sit, someone's cell phone started ringing. And I thought that was so funny because it's so typical, right? You're trying to be calm and meditate, and then the phone goes off, of course. So it's like the universe calling. But when we have awareness and mindfulness, we can start to like bring everything down a little, bring the energy down a little bit, and just be mindful of like what's going on around us, and most importantly, be connected to our bodies, which sounds kind of nuts if you haven't thought about it this way, but we get dissociated because of the distraction. And so like an example would be you have this like horrible headache and you have to take, Tylenol or something for it, but you didn't even really notice the headache come on. All of a sudden you're just sort of aware of, and then you think, like, why do I have a headache? Did I eat? Did I forget to eat? And like, there's just so many ways that our world distracts us from the simple cues of our bodies, and becoming more mindful helps you sort of tune into that energy. And the reason that I like astrology is because it also has the gift of energies embodied in each planet. And so it's sort of a new lens to see yourself through. And it's like if you're an artist and you have your paint palette of colors and you start with your solid blobs of paint on your palette, it's lovely and you can do a lot with those colors, but the magic sort of comes in when you start blending. And so when you start seeing yourself through the lens of astrology, it just adds like another layer for the understanding to happen. And let's see, I was going to mention, I guess, so basically the goal for today is just to understand that our charts show the planets and how they are aspected to one another. And so that presents like a blend of flavor that we can understand ourselves through. And I guess it's probably best if I just get right, okay, so I guess it'll help you to understand the challenges that you have to deal with, but chart also shows your gifts. So it's like, I consider it like a blueprint of your soul. So yes, you completely understand, and you've been living with your challenges, so you know what they are, But sometimes has anyone ever like had the experience of someone telling them, oh my gosh, you're so good at XYZ, and you immediately deflect it and say, not really, like, no, I'm no better than anyone else. Sometimes it's so hard to see our own gifts. But when you see it on your chart, it's like, okay, I like, how can you argue with that? It's right there in black and white. So I'm going to go through all the planets in our solar system, in addition to the two luminaries being the sun and the moon. Some astrologers actually use some of the like asteroids, the smaller planets, like they're not categorized as full planets, but they are stationary. And so they apparently do have similar energies that you could, add more layer and texture to understanding your chart. For today, I'm just going to stick with the basic planets in our solar system, and I'm including Pluto, which is important, even though the poor thing got demoted. I think it was like 2006 or 2008. Whatever commission, whatever chosen beings get to decide these things, someone objected to the fact that it's a full-on planet, and so it got demoted to a dwarf planet. And a dwarf planet essentially still is orbiting the sun, and it has its own celestial body. So like for us, it would be a moon orbiting the Earth. But in addition to that, it must have cleared away the debris in its path of any planet or any, like any formation that's the size of it or smaller. So apparently in the case of Pluto, it does have a lot of debris in its orbit. It's part of the Kepler belt, I think, which essentially is like an orbital path that is full of all kinds of debris. So I will begin with the sun and the moon, and the sun being the center star of our solar system. And so if you think about that in your birth chart, when you, whatever month or season you're born in, that tells you when, or it tells you what zodiac sign you are. So like for me, I'm born in October, and that makes me, the sun is in my Libra sign, and that makes me a Libra. And like these star systems and constellations travel across the sky. So the astrologers, if you pictured the actual event happening, a baby is born, the nurse or astrologer goes outside and stands outside the door and looks at the sky, and they can actually say, okay, that constellation or that planet was on the horizon at the time of the child's birth. This, and then it goes across the whole sky of where the planets are placed. And so when you look at a birth chart, it's basically a circular graph, and it shows where everything was at the exact moment of your birth. So, and when you hear about transits, because we do hear more about, I hear about it all the time because that's the world that I live in, but you've probably heard people talk about, oh, Pluto is in Aquarius now, and it's the Aquarius age, or, you may have heard of a Saturn return. That's when Saturn takes 28 years to circle the sun. So your first Saturn return generally happens between the age of 28 and 30. And then your second Saturn return, some people are fortunate to live for a third one. So those planets all have meaning. And so starting with the sun, if you think of it as your, like who you think you are and who the world sees you as. And if you are a Leo born in July, then that makes you like, often people who are Leos, if you think of Leo as a lion, it's the beast of the kingdom, the animal kingdom. And they often have a great head of hair. See if you start to notice people that are Leos. Once I realized this and started checking out all my friends with the birthday in Leo, it was kind of funny because they do have this beautiful, thick head of hair. And you have a very central stage presence, often leadership. It's a leadership quality. So people with a Leo sun would be very, they have no problem whatsoever walking into a room and just like walking straight to the front. Like, it blows my mind because it is so not me. And it's a quality that I love. So I like to learn about this because then I can recognize that person does that because that's who they are. And it's not about, oh, I suck because I'm not that way. It's funny that the world that we've grown up in like has a lot of judgment values, and there's those, I don't know, like certain types that you see in the media that you feel like you're supposed to be like that. And it's so not the truth. It's so not the truth. So you have to just sort of know who you are, and then you begin to appreciate those things. So the sun tells the story of who you are and how the world is perceiving you. The moon is in the chart. The sun and moon rule the whole chart. So they're right side by side. So July birthdays, June into July become the Cancer people, and they are often a moon person is somebody who has a lot of great mom quality. Like they're so happy to see you, and they wrap their arms around you, and they just are really good at nourishing, and they make they make food taste better. Like they have that very warm and welcoming personality. So if you think about the moon changing in the sky all the time, like every night when you go out there and notice it, it's in a different phase. So reflected back as a personal energy, it's sort of like like your emotions, how your emotions are constantly changing. It's associated with fertility. So if you think of like a woman's, phase of her month, the moon is a good metaphor for that. The first planet I'm going to do is Mercury for a couple of reasons. It's closest to the sun, and it has a lot going on in terms of what it means in reflected as a person's energy. But also I have a great little exercise that we can do together. So that will sort of break up all of the sitting. And Mercury is known as the way you process thoughts and the way you communicate. So you know how some people are really super snappy with their comebacks, or they speak like poetically, or they can take really complex ideas and like condense it down into understandable bits. Or some people ramble on, and at the end of it, you're like, what the hell did they just say? Like, you just don't even know. So this is the way we communicate, and it's the way our mind takes information in. It can be talking with hands. It's anything like in ancient astrology, it had to do with the energy that you used at the marketplace to barter. It's super fascinating. Like, if you want a topic to deep dive into, just look up the traits of Mercury, and people have written books about it. So essentially, we are in the United States, at least, I'm imagining many developed nations, we are so much about energy in our head. Like, we are just constantly burning the brain cells, trying to take in new information, stay on top of all of the dates that we have, the work that we have to do, like puzzle solving, problem solving. It's constant head work. And we tend to like dissociate our head from the rest of our body. And that's when we get into trouble, because we're not, we're not even noticing that our body needs self-care because our head is so full of information. So this is something that I discovered one day. I had a massive headache, and I'm like, I wonder if like there's something I can do. We have YouTube now, so let's check it out, see what we can do. I think it was from this point actually that I had learned about Qigong, and I started practicing that, which is awesome. But so for your head, what you can do is, like, if you feel behind your head, right at the base of your skull, and feel free to do it with me, it's almost like two nuggets right at the base of your skull. If you push in there, sometimes if I have like a lot of neck muscle tension, I can really feel that. So the idea with this is like a somatic exercise, which if you push in and then you push toward each other, and do that for like, 10 seconds, and then take a few deep breaths. And then go in the opposite direction. Like keep your fingers on the same spot, but sort of pull them apart. And what that does is it tends to open the blood flow between your neck and your head, and it will start to feel a little looser. And then another thing you can do is press your fingers right onto your forehead, and it's almost like you're drawing the attention and the blood to the front of your brain, and that will start to like loosen up the thoughts. And then just sort of like tap all over your head. You don't have to do it hard, but just enough to kind of get some energy flowing. And in I'm sure a lot of the ancient traditions, but in China where Qigong originated, they were very big on honoring the energy in your system and keep it moving without blocks. So, and then if you do like under your, like on your side of your neck, I could feel like I've got the muscles right here. I could feel that. That will feel really great. And then what I would kind of like take your hands and like push them straight out beside you. And then move your shoulders up and down. And even if you don't have a headache, in fact, it's better if you don't have a headache. If you just do, like if you sit at an office, in an office or at a desk for a lot of the day, and you just do that, it will definitely help the blood flow. It helps your ability to think and concentrate more easily. So that is because of our friend Mercury, which reminds us to think clearly and not to feel like what I learned about myself, and I'll get into this with Neptune, but my Mercury is in the 12th house, which is ruled by Neptune. And honest to Betsy, my thoughts go in loops sometimes. I'm all over the place. So when I saw that, I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Okay, let's see. So now we'll talk about Mars is your planet of aggression, and it's actually red in color, like physically it's red. And often you'll find that people who have a chart ruled by Mars, and this might be somebody who is Aries birthday, they will have like a reddish skin tone, or maybe even in their hair tone. And Mars and Pluto, they say is like a higher octave of Mars, meaning Pluto is Mars is very much in your face aggression. If you have a problem, face me. I want to hear it. Deal with me. I want let's go. But it's also the good part of Mars energy is it's the initiator. It gets you out of bed in the morning. It gets you doing projects. It gets you motivated to take on new projects. Astrologers have done lots of record keeping with birth charts of celebrities. And very often the well-known athletes have like Mars on their horizon, like conjunct their ascendant, meaning they're like taking that energy and moving into the day with it. So they just have that real need for speed, so to speak. So that's our Mars energy that you might recognize. I should mention that for someone like me who has virtually no fire element in my chart, my Mars is sitting in Cancer, which is not a great placement for Mars. It's great if I needed to have like mama bear energy. It's like that emotional grit. But what can often happen with me is I defer to other people and I just let other people drive the bus because I just don't care. And so that's my Mars not doing its job. I have to remind Mars to step up to the plate. Let's go. Venus is your beauty and love, creator. It could be anything from creating poetry and art, but it could also be creating a new app or, just thinking about something that's needed in the world and you decide, I'm going to create this. And It could be like a new way to teach your students. It could be the bulletin board for your students. It could be anything at all that you're creating. That's your Venus energy stepping up to the plate. Venus also likes to, while Mars is known for like cutting and like separating, Venus is just the opposite. So that's like cohesive energy, pulling things together, pulling people together. Venus rules Taurus and Libra. So those two signs tend to want to have things of comfort nearby, whether they be people or home, hearth and home. That's your Venus energy. Jupiter is energy of expansion. So it's your luck when you're going, you're going to buy a, what do they call it? The Powerball tickets, you know, hit $1 billion and you're going to take your chances. So that you're hoping that your Jupiter is shining a good light on you that day. So Jupiter and Venus are both what they call, oh my gosh, I just drew a blank. They are beneficial planets. They're, I can't say the word, beneficent. Mars and Saturn are the maleficent. So Jupiter and Venus represent like the positive, good energy in your chart. It doesn't mean that, you know, you have great placements, so everything's always going to go your way, nor does it mean that you're always going to have bad things happening if you have the other planets with, you know, important placements. But you can sort of recognize in yourself when those energies are present in you. It would be like Jupiter rules Sagittarius. And honest to goodness, if you think about Sagittarians, it's the funniest thing because they just want to go where there are more people. Let's go, have a good time. Like we could go to the park, or we could, hell, let's just buy plane tickets and go to Disney. You know what I mean? Like they take it to the next level every time. They can't just be satisfied with the party, like a birthday party with a family. They want to invite the neighbors too. They always want to like one up it, which is a great way to be, but like a down slippery slope of that energy can be sort of too optimistic. And so you don't really like flesh out the things that could go wrong. You're just focused on, you want to go over the top and have a good time. So then you have to bring that energy down a bit, or else you could find yourself in some hot water or being mildly offensive. Sometimes you would say to a person whose Jupiter is a little out of whack, is to read the room. Like I love that phrase. Sometimes people say or do inappropriate things given the event or the people present in the room. And so read the room, I think, is a great way to imagine Jupiter energy that needs to be reined back in a bit. And speaking of reining in the energy, that would be Saturn's job. So Saturn is a really cool planet that you could just, another one like, this is my estimation, that like with Mercury, you could, read a book about it, take a deep dive on it. It is basically everything in our lives that give us structure. So it could be like timetables, a schedule. It could be, if you put water in a glass, the glass is the Saturnian energy that holds structure for it. It's the energy that separates water from land. Countries are divided by borders. So in ancient astrology, it basically means anything that works to structure something that had no structure. So, if warring countries are fighting over where the border is, it's that Saturnian energy that they're actually fighting with. And so in a person, it rules Capricorn. And I guess in ancient astrology, it also rules Aquarius. But if you think of Capricorn, people tend to be very grounded, down to earth, like hands in the soil, hands in the bread dough, like very hands-on kind of people. They will get up with the sun, they will work all day tirelessly, and they won't go to bed until, they'll probably like wind down when the sun winds down. And then they're in bed at the same time every day. Like they're just very structured in their habits and routines. And that is a great energy to call on when you feel yourself a little out of control, like you feel like the news of the day's got you ungrounded, or you're just feeling like you're wasting too much time. Maybe you're scrolling a lot. You can literally call on your Saturn energy to kind of center you and, make a schedule so that you can have a little more structure in your day. And I mean, it's so funny that we dig our heels in when it comes to having a structure for like a bedtime routine. I can't tell you how many times I've read that it's terrible to have blue light at the end of the day. So like your computers and your TVs and all that, like you need to have a little downtime before bedtime. And then if you go to bed at the same time every day, and then in the morning you wake up early and you go outside and take sunlight into your eyes, those things will actually help set your circadian rhythm so that you sleep better, you function better, you feel better. And yet for a person like me, it's so hard to I know what's good for me. So the embodying part is the thing that I need to really nail down. So when I think of it through an astrology lens, I'm like, okay, Saturn, come sit by my side and help me do this thing I have to do. And then we have the outer planets. And so the planets that I've named to this point are your personal planets. And that's because in ancient astrology, they were the planets that you could be seen with the naked eye. The outer planets are Uranus and Neptune and Pluto, and you need a telescope. So they were all discovered like in the 1700s forward. I think one of them, Pluto, was like 1930 or something. And that one actually has a good backstory for how it was named Pluto. It had to do with a kid. So if you're interested in little trivia, then look up Pluto's name and read that story. It was a good one. So those three planets are actually considered modern planets, even though they're furthest from the sun. And starting with Uranus, that rules in modern astrology, that rules Aquarius. And that is the energy that gives you flashes of insight, bright ideas. It's thought of as shocking energy, surprising, urgent. I don't know, what would be a good pop culture example of Uranus energy? It's like, I don't know, you wake up to shocking news and you just can't believe it. I'm thinking of that shocking news tends to be negative stuff sometimes, but I guess you could also say you wake up to a new People magazine cover that, two well-known celebrities got married overnight in Las Vegas. That would be kind of shocking. But also some of the not so great things that have happened in our society that you turn on the morning news and there's this, of course, everything's breaking news, but there's this major flash of headline. That would be Uranus energy. But it's also inventive energy. So people who are very creative thinkers who come up with ideas completely out of the box that we just didn't see coming. How did you even think of that? Why would you even think of that? So that kind of energy is great. And everybody has all of these energies. It's just that sometimes we don't name them, so we don't recognize them in ourselves. But I think that you probably have had those moments of insight. And hopefully from this point forward, when you do come up with a great idea, and you're standing in your kitchen, you're trying to figure out, how am I gonna, whatever, I don't know. I need to open a jar and I don't have a jar opener. I'll get my rubber gloves, my dish gloves out of the cupboard and I'll use those. It's kind of like those little flashes of insight. It's that's not the best example, but I think you get the idea. So then we have Neptune, and Neptune is the dreamy sort of foggy energy. It's very good for like when things are too uptight, you want to find your Neptunian energy to kind of relax everything back. It's known as the shape-shifting energy because if you think of water as a great example, water can be ice, and then ice melts, it becomes water. If it's boiled, it becomes steam, and then it evaporates. Or you see a popular riverbed in your location, your community, and every summer it sort of dries up. Where did the water go? That's like Neptunian energy, is that it's a shapeshifter. It was here 1 minute and then it's not the next. And what I learned about myself in my own birth chart, I'll use this as an example just because I think it's so funny, is so I've got Neptune on the horizon, which means I've got a lot of that energy. And when I learned that, I had an instant flashback to being a little kid. I was probably like 6 or 7 years old. And I used to think of as my superpower that I could be really still and I could hear like adult conversations, or I could stay up past my bedtime and watch a TV show that I probably shouldn't be watching because people would not even notice that I was there. And I have a very vivid memory of my mom bustling around on a Sunday night. And I had several siblings, so I'm sure she was very busy with doing things for the next day. And I remember her walking into the room, and I was kind of like hiding behind my hair watching a TV show, knowing that I should have been in bed by now. And she said, "You are still up? What are you doing here? I didn't even see you there." Oh my God. She got so excited that like she was a bad mother because she hadn't even put the little kid to bed yet. But so when I thought of that, I'm like, I have so many instances of that throughout my life, of being almost invisible, of being able to blend. And so it definitely has its advantages, but also has its kind of low road energy that I have to be wary of. But that's your Neptune energy. And then the last planet would be Pluto. And that one is known as the planet of transformation. Excuse me. And that is like it could be the scary monster under the bed, or it could be just the eyeballs of the monster under the bed. Like you're pretty sure there's something under the bed, but you don't want to deal with it. And so like metaphorically, that would be your internal shadow, that there's something there that's bubbling and it needs attention, but it's going to take work. It's going to take tears. It's going to take pain. It's going to take releasing it. Like sometimes we try so hard to hold on to the wheel and control all of the aspects in our life, and it's exhausting. And sometimes Pluto can give you that energy that's like, enough. I just need to let it go and let the chips fall where they may. That's your Pluto energy calling in for a transformation. And so there's a lot of talk in the news now that it's moved from Capricorn, where it's been for 20 years, into Aquarius, which it will be there for the next 20 years. So Aquarius would be energy that has to do with networking, and that could be friend networking, but it could also be technology. And so here we are on the doorstep of AI, and how everyone says, AI is going to transform the world in a matter of, people are, predicting like in 5 years, our world will be nearly unrecognizable from what it is now. And so anyway, that's your Pluto energy. And I think that I made it through all of them. And I'm so sincerely hopeful that you got something from this. And if nothing else, just the enthusiasm of astrology, or just being in community with other like-minded souls. So thank you, thank you, thank you so much.
Thank you, Lis. You have about maybe 7 or 8 minutes for questions, or did you want to do
sure,
that
yeah,
exercise?
absolutely. I'm happy to take questions. And
you had mentioned an exercise about communication. Do you want to?
Yeah, no, that was essentially just the exercises that we did, was just to like loosen up that tension in our heads, because Mercury is your head energy. It's like how your thoughts form. And if you get like you're creatively blocked and you can't, like you have to do this project and you have been just staring at a blank page, or you've just been running into the same stumbling blocks over and over, and you just can't get past it. Sometimes if you just like physically loosen your body, your neck and shoulders and head, you can, circulate new ideas.
Okay.
So,
are there questions or comments for Lis?
Trying to see if there was anything else I had wanted to mention.
And I, first of all, didn't know you could call upon planets to come to your aid. I
um,
assume it's easier if one of those planets are like your sun, moon, or rising planet, it's maybe a little easier, but we can call upon any planet at any time.
we all have all of the energies. You know what I forgot to mention is that I think of these planetary energies as archetypal energies. And Carl Jung is the one that came up with the idea of 12 archetypal
Mhm.
personalities. And so if you think of like in your friend group or your community, there's always going to be like the artsy person who's super creative, or the comedian who's got cracking jokes. There's the traveler, like my sister. She is never home. She's always traveling to some faraway port. And so those energies can all be perfectly aligned with planetary energies. Like Jupiter is your traveling energy. So I imagine her as with a lot of Jupiter energy. And when I get that isolation feeling from Pluto and like I just want to stay home and put my head in the sand, I'm like, call on your Jupiter, girl. Get that polarity going so that I don't feel like I'm just a victim of my own, personality or my own sluggishness. I can actually think about those energies as a way to call forth what I need in the moment.
Okay, Lauren unmuted. Lauren, did you have a question or comment?
Yeah, sure. And I think Ellen dropped a question in the chat also. But really quick, I was just going to ask the website that you mentioned, will it be self-explanatory once we're looking at our birth chart at like if Mercury plays a big part in our birth chart or something like that? Like will, as we're looking at it, can we then apply everything that you said?
I think the easiest way to do it would be to type into YouTube how to read my birth chart. But I will tell you that pay attention. There's 1 through 12, and they're called houses that go around the wheel. And like 1 starts at 9 a.m. and it circles around again. And so if you pay attention to what planets are in that first house, that's going to, a lot of your personal story is going to be wrapped up in that house. And I also hope to do a longer class through Sanctuary of Earth. So keep tuned in for that. And then I will be able to like take a breath and go into each aspect more thoroughly. And actually we can look at everyone's birth chart during that time.
Cool, thank you. And like I said, there are a couple of questions in the chat box.
Oh,
yeah, thank you. Ellen, do you want to share your question or do you want me to read it?
Oh, could you read it?
Sure. So Ellen asked, has there been a study done of people born at the same date, time, place, and how their lives turn out? She said the charts were really different, but I guess she's
so the one that came to mind, I mentioned astro twins. The one that came to mind is, oh my gosh, now I'm not remembering it. It was something like Hitler and a well-known scientist, and I can't remember who it was. It a scientist? No, it might have been like Charlie Chaplin, actually. It was like one was in the entertainment industry and then Hitler. And so you're like, whoa, like how does that? Like how did those two energies play out so differently? So I just think it's a really fascinating topic to read. But like someone pointed out in I think it was like a podcast I had listened to, maybe. They talked about like, if you have basically the same chart as someone who is living in a completely different culture as you, or you're a woman and they're a man, like you're gonna just, by the nature of the laws of the universe and how we operate here on Earth, you're gonna have very different experiences of those same energies. So it's just something to think about.
I think we all have like different vibrations too when we come into, so there's like different ways that would express in a life, not only the energies but the circumstances, nurturing.
Jung talked about within the psyche, like there's your conscious mind and your unconscious mind, and your unconscious mind is all of your like repressed experiences, and they're not necessarily, they might just be forgotten. It's like supposedly you have a full like imprint of everything that's ever happened to you. And there are those people that you hear about now and then, like you could say June 11th, 1998, and they will know exactly what day of the week it was and what they did that day, what they had for breakfast. It's bizarre. But essentially all that information is stored in your brain, but we could, it's really hard to go through the day if you're carrying the weight of all of those memories. So we just naturally let that stuff go. But I think that, you can definitely work with, and the collective, so that's your personal unconscious, but there's a collective unconscious, which is like the thread of commonality that gives us our humanity, basically. It gives us our ability to express the energy. So I think it's your personal experiences that probably flavor your expression of those energies.
At least there's a couple more comments in the chat. Christinka asks, what if your benefic planet has a poor placement? I'm not sure what
that's interesting. There's a few different things that would need to be looked at, like planet charts have sects, meaning they have a day sect and a night sect, depending on if you're born night or day, or close to sunrise or sunset. So it kind of would depend on a few different things, how that energy would be expressed. But I think for the most part, and because of the constant, motion of transits, you're gonna experience that energy in different ways throughout every month.
She also asked, where do you look for another placement that shows area of luck?
Oh, well, there's actually a thing called the pot of luck, which is, it's not a physical planet, but it has to do with its aspect to other planets. And so like you can Google it to find it, or you know what? It's I just said POT, it's PART, part of luck. And if you go to astro.com, and when you choose your chart, there's a place where you can select what you want to display, and you can click the little box that says part of luck. And so that is another cool placement to know about, because if you're having transits that are benefiting that placement, then it might be a good time to plan for some important event. I know a lot of politicians, it's really fascinating. A lot of politicians and royalty have used astrology throughout the years to millennia to plan big events, probably like when they're going to attack another country. I don't know. But I'm thinking of, there was something I read about Ronald Reagan. He had some big, was it something to do with his inauguration? He had it for like 11 p.m. or going on midnight, because his astrologer told him, and Ellen is nodding in agreement. You heard that too. Yeah, his astrologer told him that this was the best time in order for him to have a successful administration. This was the best time for him to do this particular thing. And so it is really fascinating. It's always been very hush hush and, like eye rolling if you learn that people like plan their life around astrology. But also there's got to be something to it, because like it's thousands of years old and it has continued to, like anything, there's going to be people that are quacks or not really giving the best light to astrology, and they're not giving proper readings, which in turn makes it a lesser of a science. But I think that there's an awful lot to it. And yeah, once you pay attention to your own life and your own transits, you start to see patterns. Even, you know what, just take the time on the moon cycles. It's a really cool experiment to keep a journal. And you don't have to write down a lot, but just basically how you're feeling on different moon phases. And once I tuned into that, I was like, wow, it really does matter. Like I can really feel that full moon energy, how it affects me versus like a new moon energy. So it's just something, it's a place to begin if you want to start to make a connection to your own chart.
Okay, thanks, Lis. We have one more question, and we are also running out of time. So I'll ask maybe Lis to answer this one quickly. And then for folks, If you want to get added to the mailing list so that when we announce the course, you'll be on the mailing list, to put your email in the chat and we'll add you. And also, I'll be giving away a 30-minute reading with me at the very end. So I hope you can stay on. And those of you who need to log off, thanks for joining us. So Lis, the last question was, please say more about Pluto energy. And if you could keep it to.
Yeah, so Pluto energy it takes 248 years for Pluto to go once around the sun. And it's also known that that coincides with the age of our country, and that it's no wonder. It's like if you have a birthday, you're a different person especially when you're younger, you notice it more. Like you're different when you're a 10-year-old versus a 9-year-old. You just have that additional year of experience. So for the country's birthday of Pluto, like full revolution of Pluto to come around, like it's no wonder that our whole planet is being transformed. Like this is just a massive transformation that's happening as all of our systems that we've been operating under are breaking down and new ones will need to be built in their place. So that is really the best example I can give of Pluto energy.
And you did so succinctly. So thank you, Lis. So thank you for that illuminated sharing of the planetary energy and how we can use it. I mean, I love that we can call upon them anytime. I just want to let you know that the next gather session will be on April 13th. And you can learn to read tarot in 10 minutes. So I think of that as a personal challenge, and you could bring your oracle deck or tarot deck and start to read right away. Again, we would appreciate a donation if you feel called to do so to support this program. And I hope in the next 6 weeks or next few weeks, we'll be announcing our spring courses. We will have breath work, and I'm teaching Reiki 1 next weekend and Reiki 2 April 6th. Lis will give us the dates for her astronomy course. I will have a full tarot class where you will really get to dive in deeper. And just FYI, what is coming up, we will have Claire Empathy. There will be a Qigong class, thanks to Steph. So Lis, thanks for teeing that up for us. And she will be doing a gather session this summer. And also an EFT tapping class. So we have some really cool classes coming up. So make sure you check our website, check your, and if you haven't already given us your email to be on the mailing list. So let's see, I'm going to give away the 30-minute free session. Lis, can you pick a number between 1 and 5?
3.
3. Okay, Christinka. So you won the free lesson. The free reading for me. So if you just email me at susannacalvert@gmail.com, we can set that up. And so we're going to close with just a single card tarot reading. Congratulations, Christinka. Look forward to doing that with you. I'm pulling from my
Thank you.
I'm pulling from my Dragon Tarot deck. So we got the 8 of Cups. This is the getting the heck out of Dodge card. I think it's related to the beginning of the first reading, the first message we had about the energies, and what's coming in is like to not be afraid of the change. It's time for us to move on. It's time for us to move forward and up and out of this really dense energies. And the more we embrace the change, the easier it will be to do so. The more we cling to what was and what no longer serves, the harder it is for all of us. So this is part of the reason we are offer these gather sessions, so we can lean into the change together, because no matter how much we say we love change, it is hard. So we are honoring that in ourselves and each other, and we're here to do this whole thing together. So thank you all for joining us, and I hope you will join us for the April 13th session, and we're going to find our gifts and find our ways to find through this through all of this change in an even better way. Lis, thank you for a really wonderful session. Sounds like it really struck a chord with folks, and hopefully we'll have a really good class for you to launch that in Sanctuary of Earth. Thank you, everybody, and have a great Sunday.
Thank you.